My speech today focuses on Japanese agriculture, particularly the structure of agricultural extension in Japan. The book I use as a reference book is belonged to Tokuzo Tatsuno and Reichi Kaneko. The title of the book, Agricultural Extension Work in Japan, I think is an amazing book if you want to a profound knowledge about the agricultural extension in Japan. I think Japan has very similar features with many developing countries for agricultural holdings regarding their size. When analyze the chronology of extension work, it can be seen that a new term started after 1948 as a system of technical guidance, replacing the guidance farm system started in 1945. For the establishment and promotion of extension work, besides American guidance, experiences and mistakes in the past were also seriously taken into consideration. And this is a very important point. They gained a lot of experience from the past mistakes. And more changes have been in accordance with the experiences gained under the new extension system. The necessity for methods to improve and modernize Japanese agriculture through the introduction of advanced scientific techniques became extremely urgent. The former national or prefectural, which is called Nogyokai, had a strong influence because once a certain policy was decided by government authorities, one-sided guidance and encouragement through regulations and incentive subsidies were given. Farmers were hindered by this influence because they were forced to follow imperative government policy. This did not encourage development of their own economic independence. Also, it discouraged a spontaneous attitude toward advancement of productivity. Technicians or extension officers in charge of guidance under the Nogyokai system also inclined to lean upon authority and subsidy measures without attempting their own technical improvement in order to provide better service for farmers. Therefore, when the extension work was started in 1948, much thought was given to bitter experiences in the past, and special emphasis was placed on the following issues. Firstly, a basic principle of extension, and it means that the technical assistance and guidance in the past had a tendency to force upon all farmers uniform guidance deemed necessary for the achievement of the national policy of increased production of stable foods, disregarding the condition of individual farmers. The second one, technical guidance in extension work is not a technique in a narrow sense. It is highly necessary to first determine whether introduction of a certain new technique is really beneficial in the overall sense, and to what extent it may fit a revised crop rotation system on the farm as a whole. In Japan, the local extension offices consist of several farm advisors, each of whom had some special technical ability. This is also a very important point. They are not the normal expert, and they have some special technical ability. Their total technical specialities can then be integrated into a well-balanced work unit for the purpose of rendering a better overall service to the farmers within the jurisdictions of a given extension office. The third one, As Japanese agriculture is operated on a very small scale on the whole, naturally the farmers' accumulation of capital also is very small. The government finances or gives grants in aid for big-scale land improvements, reclamation of new farmland, and construction or repair of irrigation and drainage systems. In pre-war days, there was a period when the government encouraged the farmers to adopt a technique or to develop facilities by giving them grants in aid for practices the farmers would have been to finance by themselves. The methods used by extension officers of Nogyokai in handling these allocations at that time made their technical guidance too dependent on subsidies, rationed commodities incidental to such subsidies, and on government direction. As a result of technical guidance eventually became weaker, and their attitude as advisors was such that they did not merit the farmers' confidence. And when I was a student in bachelor degree, I was always told to my professor that the confidence of farmer is very low among Turkish farmers against technical experts, and this is very important point. As a result, not a few farmers returned to their former practices when the Nogyokai methods or grants in aid no longer existed. In short, even though the Nogyokai system had some temporary good effects, techniques were not fully digested after all and did not substantially benefit farmers, and we see this in many developing and less developed countries. On the contrary, the Nogyokai system caused farmers to distrust the technical guidance. You see, while Japanese agriculture after the transformation takes the form of a voluntary grassroots farmers organization, it is distinct from other cooperations in the rest of the world in that Japanese agriculture was founded by the government as a regulatory tool, covers all farmers in the entire country, and performs almost all economic aspects of Japanese agricultural industry. Guidance is focus on effective techniques for the solution of the most urgent problems, and farmers are free to adapt the techniques to their individual circumstances. They were not enforced to implement the directives, or you see. And the fourth one, in pre-war days, the technicians, extension officer did not have too much difficulty in thinking out the guidance methods. There can be no uniform guidance applicable to all farmers alike. The unit of guidance is necessarily limited to a village or a group of farmers having the same problems. There are thus two important points we need to address in extension of Japanese agriculture for the other countries as a good example. One is seeing is believing, and the other one is individual problems receives more attention. You see? And the fifth one, extension requires to bring scientific techniques into farm households. Extension officers must be fully aware of the farmers' customary agricultural methods, be able to analyze them scientifically, and finally introduce a new technique. And this is also a very important point. You need to have very good steps in the extension office, otherwise you cannot succeed all these steps without strong human capital. Therefore, extension work is organized in such a way to have close contact with the experiment and research institutions in order to take advantage of up-to-date scientific knowledge. So, the latest technologies need to be strictly followed by these extension officers. And the sixth one, in the old methods in Japan, traditional guidance aimed at quickly to increase production and was directed to operator farmers only. Extension work promotes the activities of rural youth who have a progressive spirit and stimulates agricultural groups to acquire an intellectual appetite for agricultural improvement. And this is also very important because nowadays we are always talking about rural migration and rapid urbanization, and we cannot encourage the rural youth to turn back agriculture because the agriculture was not considered as a prestige profession. But we need to change this. How can I say, this awareness among the youngs. And seventh, extension work not only tries to improve agriculture but also aims to improve the farmer's home life, so that the standard of living on the farm may be improved from two directions. Accordingly, home advisors are also stationed in local extension offices to work with farmers and their wives in the area of home improvement. And the last one, extension is a cooperative undertaking between the national government and each prefecture in accordance with the law. And this is very important, I think. The last but not least, maybe you can say that the linear approaches has no ground any longer nowadays, and we need to develop some networking approaches by bringing education, innovation and research under the same roof, and they need to work perfectly in an organized way with each other.